Aconcagua. Aconcagua, Spanish pronunciation, is a mountain in the Principal Cordillera of the Andes mountain range, in Mendoza Province, Argentina. It is the highest mountain in the Americas, the highest outside Asia, and the highest in both the southern and the western hemispheres, with a summit elevation of 6,961 meters, 22,838 feet. It lies 112 kilometers, 70 miles, northwest of the provincial capital, the city of Mendoza, about 5 kilometers, 3 miles, from San Juan Province, and 15 kilometers, 9 miles, from Argentina's border with neighbouring Chile. The mountain is one of the so-called 7 summits of the 7 continents. Aconcagua is bounded by the Valle de las Vacas to the north and east and the Valle de los Hurcones inferior to the west and south. The mountain and its surroundings are part of the Aconcagua Provincial Park. The mountain has a number of glaciers. The largest glacier is the Ventisquero Hurcones inferior at about 10 kilometers, 6 miles, long, which descends from the south face to about 3,600 meters, 11,800 feet, in altitude near the Confluencia Camp. 2 other large glacier systems are the Ventisquero de las Vacas Sur and Glaciares/Ventisquero Relencho system at about 5 kilometers, 3 miles, long. The most well-known is the northeastern or Polish glacier, as it is a common route of ascent. Etymology. The origin of the name is uncertain. It may be from the Mapudungun Aconcagua, which refers to the Aconcagua River and means comes from the other side, the Quechua meaning sentinel of stone, the Quechua Ancocahuac, meaning white sentinel, or the Aymara Jankawa, meaning white ravine. Geologic history. See also, Andean orogeny. The mountain was created by the subduction of the Nazca Plate beneath the South American Plate. Aconcagua used to be an active stratovolcano, from the late Cretaceous or early Paleocene through the Miocene, and consisted of several volcanic complexes on the edge of a basin with a shallow sea. However, sometime in the Miocene, about 8 to 10 million years ago, the subduction angle started to decrease, resulting in a stop of the melting and more horizontal stresses between the oceanic plate and the continent, causing the thrust faults that lifted Aconcagua up off its volcanic route. The rocks found on Aconcagua's flanks are all volcanic and consist of lavas, breccias and pyroclastics. The shallow marine basin had already formed earlier, Triassic, even before Aconcagua arose as a volcano. However, volcanism has been present in this region for as long as this basin was around, and volcanic deposits interfinger with marine deposits throughout the sequence. The colorful greenish, bluish and gray deposits that can be seen in the Hurcones Valley and south of Puente del Inca are carbonates, limestones, turbidites and evaporites that fill this basin. The red-colored rocks are intrusions, cinder deposits and conglomerates of volcanic origin. Climbing. In mountaineering terms, Aconcagua is technically an easy mountain if approached from the north, via the normal route. Aconcagua is arguably the highest non-technical mountain in the world, since the northern route does not absolutely require ropes, axes, and pins. Although the effects of altitude are severe, atmospheric pressure is 40% of sea level at the summit, the use of supplemental oxygen is not common. Altitude sickness will affect most climbers to some extent, depending on the degree of acclimatization. Although the normal climb is technically easy, multiple casualties occur every year on this mountain. In January 2009 alone, 5 climbers died. This is due to the large numbers of climbers who make the attempt and because many climbers underestimate the objective risks of the elevation and of cold weather, which is the real challenge on this mountain. Given the weather conditions close to the summit, cold weather injuries are very common. The routes to the peak from the south and southwest ridges are more demanding, and the south face climb is considered quite difficult. The Polish Glacier Traverse Route, also known as the Falso de los Polacos route, crosses through the Vacas Valley, ascends to the base of the Polish Glacier, then traverses across to the normal route for the final ascent to the summit. The third most popular route is by the Polish Glacier itself. Provincial park rangers do not maintain records of successful summits, but estimates suggest a summit rate of 30 to 40%. About 75% of climbers are foreigners and 25% are Argentinian. Among foreigners, the United States leads in number of climbers, followed by Germany and the UK. About 54% of climbers ascend the normal route, 43% up the Polish Glacier route, and the remaining 3% on other routes. Camps. The campsites on the normal route are listed below. Altitudes are approximate. Puente del Inca, 2,740 meters, 8,990 feet, a small village on the main road, with facilities including a lodge. Confluencia, 3,380 meters, 11,090 feet, a campsite a few hours into the national park. Plaza de Mulas, 4,370 meters, 14,340 feet, base camp, claimed to be the second largest in the world, after Everest. There are several meal tents, showers and internet access. There is a lodge approximately 1 kilometer, 0.62 miles, from the main campsite across the glacier. At this camp, climbers are screened by a medical team to check if they are fit enough to continue the climb. Camp Canada, 5,050 meters, 16,570 feet, a large ledge overlooking Plaza de Mulas. Camp Alaska, 5,200 meters, 17,060 feet, called Change of Slope in Spanish, a small site is the slope from Plaza de Mulas to Nido de Condors. Lessons. Not commonly used. Nido de Condors, 5,570 meters, 18,270 feet, a large plateau with beautiful views. There is usually a park ranger camped here. Camp Berlin, 5,940 meters, 19,490 feet, the classic high camp, offering reasonable wind protection. Camp Cordillera, 6,000 meters, 19,690 feet, a larger, while slightly more exposed, camp situated directly at the North Ridge near Camp Berlin, with growing popularity. In January 2011, a shelter was opened in Camp Cordillera for exclusive use in cases of emergency. The shelter is named Elena after Italian climber Elena Sonini, who died in January 2009 shortly after reaching the summit, and whose family donated the shelter. Several sites possible for camping or bivouac, including Piedras Blancas, = 6,100 meters, and Independencia, = 6,350 meters, are located above Cordillera. However, they are seldom used and offer little protection. Summit attempts are usually made from a high camp at either Berlin or Cordillera, or from the lower camp at Nido de Condors. History. The first attempt to summit Aconcagua by Europeans was made in 1883 by a party led by the German geologist and explorer Paul Gusfeld. Bribing porters with the story of treasure on the mountain, he approached the mountain via the Rio Volcan, making 2 attempts on the peak by the northwest ridge and reaching an altitude of 6,500 meters, 21,300 feet. The route that he prospected is now the standard route up the mountain. The first recorded ascent was in 1897 by a European expedition led by the British mountaineer Edward Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald failed to reach the summit himself over 8 attempts between December 1896 and February 1897, but the Swiss guide of the expedition, Matthias Zurbriggen, reached the summit on 14th January. On the final attempt a month later, 2 other expedition members, Stuart Vines and Nicola Landi, reached the summit on 13th February. The east side of Aconcagua was first scaled by a Polish expedition, with Konstantin Arkiewicz-Jodko, Stefan Dasinski, Viktor Ostrovsky and Stefan Isitsky summiting on March 9, 1934, over what is now known as the Polish Glacier. A route over the southwest ridge was pioneered over 7 days in January 1953 by the Swiss-Argentine team of Federico Anderli Marmalade, Francisco Ibanez, and Fernando Grajales. The famously difficult south face was conquered by a French team led by René Ferlet. Pierre Lesueur, Adrien Daguerre, Robert Paragat, Edmond Dennis, Lucien Berardini and Guy Poulet reached the summit after a month of effort on February 25, 1954. As of 2020, the youngest person to reach the summit of Aconcagua is Tyler Armstrong of California. He was 9 years old when he reached the summit on December 24, 2013. Kaamya Kartikeyan of India at an age of 12 became the youngest girl to reach the summit on February 1, 2020. The oldest person to climb it was Scott Lewis, who reached the summit on November 26, 2007, when he was 87 years old. In the base camp Plaza de Mulas, at 4,300 meters, 14,100 feet, above sea level, there is the highest contemporary art gallery tent called Nautilus of the Argentine painter Miguel Dura. In 2014, Kilian Jornet set a record for climbing and descending Aconcagua from her cones in 12 hours and 49 minutes. The record was broken less than 2 months later by Ecuadorian Swiss Karl Eglov, in a time of 11 hours 52 minutes, nearly an hour faster than Kilian Jornet. On September 25, 2019, an Airbus helicopter's H-145 landed on the very peak of Mount Aconcagua. This is the first time in history a twin-engine helicopter has landed at this altitude. It took a total of 45 minutes for the entire trip, 30 minutes from Mendoza and another 15 from the base camp up to the peak. Temperatures were reported as low as -22°C, with wind gusts up to 30 knots. This is not the highest a helicopter has landed before, as a single-engine Airbus helicopter's H-125 landed on Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. In popular culture, the mountain has a cameo in a 1942 Disney cartoon called Pedro, which features a small, anthropomorphic airplane named Pedro who has a near-disastrous encounter with Aconcagua while carrying mail over the Andes. Dangers. At nearly 7,000 meters, 23,000 feet, Aconcagua is the highest peak outside of Asia. It is believed to have the highest death rate of any mountain in South America, around 3 a year, which has earned it the nickname Mountain of Death. More than 100 people have died on Aconcagua since records began. Due to the improper disposal of human waste in the mountain environment, there are significant health hazards that pose a threat to both animals and human beings. Only boiled or chemically treated water is accepted for drinking. Additionally, eco-friendly toilets are available only to members of an organized expedition, meaning climbers have to be contracted to a toilet service at the base camp and similar camps along the route. Currently, from 2 base camps, Plaza de Mulas and Plaza Argentina, over 120 barrels of waste, approximately 22,500 kilograms, 49,600 pounds, are flown out by helicopter each season. In addition, individual mountaineers must make a payment before using these toilets. Some large organizers will give a price up to $100, some smaller used $5/day or $10 for the entire stay. Thus, many independent mountaineers defecate on the mountainside. Mythological meaning. For the Incas, the Aconcagua was a sacred mountain. As on other mountains, for example Amparo, places of worship were built here and sacrifices, including human sacrifices, were made. The sites discovered in 1985 at an altitude of 5,167 meters are among the highest in the world and are the most difficult of all Inca sites to reach. Here, the remains of a child bedded on grass, cloth and feathers were found inside stone walls, Aconcagua mummy. The clothing indicates that the child was a member of the highest social class. Other offerings found included figures and coca leaves.